Hey there, HopeQuest family. Troy and Melissa here today, and we are refreshed and encouraged because we've spent the weekend at a beautiful cabin in North Georgia. You can see the fire still going behind us. It has been cold.
Very.
Finally, some winter. Earlier this week, it felt like fall, and so we're just so grateful for a chance to get away. We're trying to be a bit more intentional this year about self-care and about just focusing on what's important. So
we're asking for what we need.
And asking for what we need. So I asked a friend if we could come to his cabin, and he graciously said yes. So here we are. And we've asked God to just be with us this weekend and encourage us and fill us. And so here we are. And we wanted to just share with you kind of a follow-up. Last week, Melissa, we talked about getting on the right path for the new year and how every day God gives us choices, often multiple choices in a day, and we have a choice to choose that right path each and every day. So today, what we wanted to talk about is, and I don't know about you, Melissa, but I would say this is probably my biggest temptation in trying to stay on the right path each and every day. And my biggest temptation is to look to or at or for someone else or something else to satisfy the longings and desires of my heart. Those longings and desires aren't wrong. They're
valid.
They're valid. They're oftentimes God-given. But I tend to want to look to someone. I tend to want to look to you oftentimes. Which how does that make you feel?
Not great.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to want to look to someone or something else outside of me. It's easy for me to forget that God loves me, that God's content with me, that God is with me. And I just tend to think that if something out there could happen, or if someone out there could do something, or if someone would come and help me, if that thing out there would happen, I'd be full, I'd be content, I'd be satisfied, and I could choose more easily the right path. And the reality is this is a huge temptation. So Melissa, talk to us real quick about the spiritual principle. This is an important spiritual principle that we're going to talk about today to help make sure that we stay on the right path.
So this principle that, I guess the best way to describe it is daily satisfaction or contentment in Jesus.
Okay.
So the psalmist says this in Psalm 90, verse 14.
I love this.
Satisfy us each morning with your unfailing love, so we may sing for joy to the end of our lives.
Wow, read that again.
Satisfy us each morning with your unfailing love, so that we may sing for joy to the end of our lives.
Wow, I like that. You know, when I hear that verse, I think about sometimes in the morning, I feel restless, I feel overwhelmed, I feel anxious about the day, and sometimes it's very hard for me just to let Jesus satisfy me in the morning. What does it mean to you to be satisfied?
So, I think for me, the word that comes to mind is at rest. I'm not craving anything. I feel peaceful about where I am. I'm not in survival mode. There's a sense of well-being and contentment, kind of all is well.
You know, for me, when I think of satisfied, I think of full, I think of satiated, I think of, I have everything that I need, and I don't need anything else. What I have is enough to satisfy me. And if I could do what the psalmist says and let Jesus satisfy me each morning, then I think my life and your life with me would be a lot better.
I mean, welcome to the human race, honey. Like, we are leaky vessels.
Yes.
So, in being mindful of that, I think it's just more helpful to think about how can I, as best as I can, sit and rest with him and in his love. So, I think for me, that starts with, in the mornings, taking time to pause and ask myself, is there an area of dissatisfaction in my life? Am I content? What's happening around me? Is there any sense of grumbling or discontentment or dissatisfaction that I'm struggling with?
Could it also just be a sense of being anxious or overwhelmed? Maybe not dissatisfied, but just anxious or overwhelmed or just disconnected. And for me, the way I would describe what you just said would be to pause and examine my heart to stop and really look inside and ask God to help me see clearly, but to examine my heart. And then as I examine my heart, let God fill my heart. Because oftentimes, I don't even take time to look at what's there.
Right.
And then if I do take a look at what's there, I'm like, gosh, I don't like that. But if I'll take time to look at what's there and give what's there to God, and then allow Him to fill me, to fill my heart with His love, with His presence, with His satisfaction with me, that then allows me to do the second step in this principle, and that is to receive His love, and then ultimately to rest in His love. Because, for me, I can receive it unless it's just been a really, really bad day, or I'm just really in a bad spot. I can receive it, but then as the day goes on, it's hard for me to rest in it. So for you, Melissa, what's it mean to receive and rest in His love?
So I guess it's easier to describe what's coming out of my life in that moment. I think all of us can fool ourselves that we're okay.
Yes.
And so I guess the easier way for me to tell, am I really resting, is to kind of look at the fruit of my life.
Gotcha.
If I'm not resting, if I'm dissatisfied, if something is overwhelming me about my life and I'm grasping for some resource outside of me and God's love, then often it looks like I'm frustrated a lot.
Right.
I'm demanding things of others. I'm grasping for things. Cheeseburgers, brownies in my case, mindless something to just eject, to shut off whatever I'm feeling inside. And sometimes there's a drivenness to my life, either in perfection or in getting people to do what I want and managing. All of those things are signs to me that I'm not really resting or satisfied or content in what He's given me.
Can I just point out that you kind of described me there? When we look at these signs of dissatisfaction, if you want to wonder, am I satisfied with God's love? Am I really resting, receiving and resting in His love? Those four things Melissa mentioned: frustrated, demanding. What was that third one? Grasping and driven. Those four things describe me. And it's very fair to say when I'm living that way, I am not living victorious in Jesus. I'm not living satisfied. But sweetheart, what does it look like in your life?
So, I think all of these things are still present in me. It's just they're externalized in you. People see them overtly because that's who you are, right? But for me, they're internalized. So I'm frustrated, but I don't share that with anyone.
Gotcha. You just stuff it.
I just stuff it.
Okay.
You're
never demanding, though.
So not of other people, but I'm demanding of myself.
Ah, okay.
I'm demanding that I be self-reliant, that I not have needs, that, needs are weakness. I have to take care of this by myself. And for me, grasping, may look different. It may not look as sinful or overt, but grasping for food to comfort, or grasping for a way to check out and turn off my brain.
Right, TV or word games, or just some sort of mindless something that really doesn't feed your soul and really doesn't help return you to being restful and connected with Jesus and satisfied with Jesus.
Exactly. And so while you may be driven to seek relief or to get someone to do something so that you have relief, I'm more driven to avoid any kind of pain or... So my drivenness drives me inward, whereas your drivenness tends to drive you outward. Gotcha.
Although a cheeseburger really sometimes helps my heart. Cheeseburger, and donuts. Krispy Kreme, hot now. But anyway, another story for another day. So if those are markers, Melissa, of us being dissatisfied, real quickly, what are some markers of us being satisfied? How do we know that we truly are receiving and resting in His love?
So I think we tend to be more gracious to ourselves and to others. There's just more grace for that.
Right.
Instead of demanding things, we invite.
Yeah.
So, I invite you into my life. I don't demand that you do things for me. I rest. There's a sense of peace and calmness around me that can be contagious.
Right.
People are drawn to that. And instead of being driven, I'm more in tune with Holy Spirit in me, and I'm more directed and connected to Him.
Yeah, and to me, that connected piece really resonates. When I'm letting Jesus satisfy me, when I'm receiving and resting in His love, and He's satisfied me, it's a whole lot easier for me to be connected with Him and really just let the day unfold the way he wants to, which is a whole lot more better for me and pleasant for those around me. So the last thing we'd say in this is, as the day goes on, as Melissa mentioned earlier, we leak. And we need to kind of remember as the day unfolds his love, his faithfulness, his commitment to us. And we need to refresh our grasping of that and our holding of that and our resting in that. You know, when you shampoo your hair, the instructions on the bottle say lather, rinse, repeat. Now, I think they say repeat because they want you to use extra shampoo, because it's just a marketing ploy for them to get you to buy more shampoo.
That is your pessimistic outlook.
Sweetheart, it's just, it's real. It's real, believe me. But for God's presence, that whole idea of lather, rinse, repeat, go back into his presence and remind yourself and remember that he really does love you, that he's with you, that he alone can satisfy, that he alone can fill you up, that he alone can make a way through the challenges of your day. And to just remember that and rest in that. You don't have to make your way through life. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to be perfect, because he already is. And so what we want to encourage you today is to be satisfied with Jesus each day, and let him remind you daily and throughout the day that he loves you, that you're his, that he's with you, and that he will do far more than you could ever imagine if you would just ask him. We're grateful for Jesus, and we're grateful for you, and we're grateful for this awesome cabin. But we just want to say to you, we've got some exciting things coming up here real soon. I cannot wait to tell you about them. But in the meantime, thanks for praying. Thanks for being faithful. The Trek House is full. Things are going amazing. So thanks for your prayers. Thanks for your faithfulness. If you wouldn't mind liking, sharing, and even commenting below, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to just dialogue with you about your challenges in staying on the right path this year. We love you, and we're grateful for you. Have a great day.